8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now live.
89.5 WSKB.
From the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley. With convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut, visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
George Jones, George Burns, George Bush, George Benson, George C. Scott, George Reeves, George Wallace, George Hallis, George Washington Carver, George Jefferson, George Jetson, George Peppard, George Harrison, Boy George, by George, George of the Jungle, George Strait, Chris George, Linda Day George, George Patton Phyllis, George Custer, George McClellan, George Foster, George Martin, George Thorogood, George Carlin, George Hamilton, George Rapp, George Jessel, Tallulah Gorge, Susan George, Curious George, Georgie Porgy, George Clinton, George Siegel, George McGovern, Jeff George, George Lindsay, George Sanford Brown, George Lucas, George McCrae, George Schultz, George Mikan, Gorgeous George Jr., George Orwell, George Wendt, Bill Clinton, George Goebel, George Michael,
Bill Clinton. I still don't
Bill
understand
Clinton.
that.
I've got to find
Gotta
out.
research that song.
I gotta contact this guy's agent and say, what the hell was Bill Clinton doing in there? Hey, good morning. Bye, George. It's Monday once again. George Delisle, Pete Coles, Jillian Knapp, and the lovely Michael Silvestri.
Good morning.
Hey. We're here for another morning go-round, and boy, are we tired. Because yesterday was the Kiwanis TV auction.
Yes.
Yes, and except for Pete, who was otherwise engaged with the
Right.
the lip sync battle over
yeah.
the senior center. The rest of us were involved in the auction, and I can tell you it is a long day, but
fun.
But fun, and we made some money for the club and for the children of Westfield. And I mean, what I know right now is that we did bring in something exceeding $40,000, which is going to go right back out in the form of grants and programs and good things for the city of Westfield. And after the show today, I get to go home and run the invoices, because tomorrow night at Father Joe's over at St. Joseph's Polish National Catholic Church, opposite Walgreens, all of the nice folks who bought things yesterday will be coming to pick up and pay. The paying part is important.
Yes.
Yes.
Because that helps the kids.
That. It helps the kids. Well, it also, it helps the kids. It's good for us, too. It's a good thing. And Redemption Night is actually hilarious. It's a lot of fun. It's like a big party. We see a bunch of people we only see once or twice a year. Everybody comes in with a big smile, and they write their check, and they pick up their load of stuff, and off they go happy, and it's a lot of fun to see. So
I think I might stop by and help out Tuesday.
I think that might be very helpful.
And I think I might enjoy it, only because I won't be handling money.
That's right. How about that? You'll just have a good time.
Oh, exactly.
Right.
Well, for years, I've been dealing with that. Oh, gosh. First few years, it was fine. It was fun. But after a while, it just wears you down.
Michael, you were a very fine club treasurer.
Oh, thank you.
For those of you who don't know this, Michael was the last ever elected treasurer of the New England and Bermuda District of Kiwanis. Last ever.
Yes.
It's now an appointed job.
That's right. That's right. Someone has to like you to be appointed and all that. Whereas me, I just put on an act and get elected, and yeah.
They kept electing you.
That's right. They kept doing that.
Well, you know what?
He's crazy enough to do it.
Listen, back then, now our treasurer has to be like a CPA or somebody with serious financial chops. They've got to know what they're doing. When I was treasurer before Michael, which should give you an idea of how little ability was required to do the job at that point.
Things are more complex with even
no.
nonprofits
You don't
nowadays.
understand. The district secretary was the guy who did all of the books and stuff.
Yeah.
The treasurer signed the checks. Period. That's it. That's all I had to. I can sign a check with the best of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So It was kind of a silly job.
You see, I had a stamp with my signature on it, so you talk about laziness. Stamp. That was it. That was it.
Okay. Yeah. So it is Monday.
Yes.
And wow, we've chewed up 4 minutes. This is awesome.
That's
you
right.
know, we're without yet falling asleep. Jillian's laughing.
Speak for yourself.
Okay. Yeah.
Remember, Dunkin' Donuts is open at 7. If
I
y'all want
know.
to make an exit, I'll play 2 songs.
God bless them.
Oh, I'll go do the Dunkin' Donuts run.
All right. Wow.
I'll bring my own
Hey,
caffeine.
can I say something? You know that opening song?
You will anyway.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I think, when I first heard it, I thought that was Jay singing. I thought Jay would cut a record.
Jake
Pegluga?
Pegluga?
Yeah. I thought it was him. It sounded like him.
No.
You don't think so?
No.
No.
No?
Not even vaguely.
Why I think we need to have Jay come in here and sing that song for us then.
I think Mike, I think you're hallucinating, Mike.
You know, well, I'm getting close to 60, so that's
he-
why.
George Jones, he doesn't sound like
It doesn't
that.
sound like that. I thought he did. Never mind.
Now you do, George, so who knows?
He sounds like this.
So Jay was-
he's got that basso profundo thing going on.
Did Jay come over after he finished with us? Or
No.
did he,
Well, if he did, I didn't see him.
he,
But
he smacked his knee pretty good on a lighting truss, bringing it out. We were hauling stuff back out to the trailer.
oh boy,
He's like,
man down.
I was like, you're gonna go home now. Have something frosty. And
Marion was
call
with
it
us.
a day.
Marion was with us for a fair part of the day. And, so it's great when we didn't get one of them as members. We got Jay and Marion as members. So
You got
it's
a tag
like a tag
team.
team. Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, you go to this event and I'll go to that event. Okay, fine.
It's always good to have a husband and wife team on the club.
Yeah, actually. Well, it's worked out well for me.
Yeah, it's good. No, generally speaking.
Generally speaking, Gina may or may not be on the treadmill listening right now. So,
Good morning, Gina.
yeah,
Morning, Gina.
it's Gina, the owner of a new lawnmower.
Oh, great.
There you go.
Think Amanda's listening? Good morning, Amanda.
Brodkin.
Not if she has any sense. Well,
She might be.
she might be getting kids off to
Amanda,
school.
text me if you're listening.
You guys all know Tina Gorman, right?
Yeah.
That's Tina Gorman.
Are you kidding, Sister Tina?
Wow.
Benedicimus Domine Pater Filius Spiritus. Yeah.
They went all out.
I don't want none of that. Never mind.
They went all out.
Yep. They did. That's pretty cool.
They did a song from Sister Act.
And they won?
Oh, wow.
They came in second
They
place.
came in second place. And first place was?
YMCA.
As in the song or a
As in
team
both.
from the Y?
As in both.
Oh.
Did they dress up as the Village People?
They did.
Okie dokie.
And they had a lead singer that was one of their personal trainers that did all kinds of he's a great frontman apparently in lip sync. I do have video of all of them. Somebody knocked it a little sideways during the show, so I have it.
So you should be able to get somebody to pay you for that video.
They want it posted on YouTube.
Do they really?
Yes.
Wow.
I'm in the process of editing it right now.
Talk about guts. Okay.
There's some good acts.
Did you happen by the chili chocolate extravaganza at
I
the
never
Y?
made it there. No.
No, huh? It's
No, I was busy trying to make sure the Gas and Electric was putting in a new switch at the Technology Center to see if we could do the original way of the Kiwanis auction broadcast.
right.
Yeah, and that didn't work either.
That didn't work
so-
either. We were, and I want to thank Pete and
Alex and
Alex,
Mark.
everyone who was involved in making sure we could actually get a signal out of the building because it was touch and go there on Saturday. There was a lot of trepidation because this is because of the cut over to Whip City fiber.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different carrier. So everything that worked normally last year didn't work this year. And we were troubleshooting all week with the vendor that does the Channel 15 equipment.
Right.
We were troubleshooting here with the IT groups here, with the IT group in the city, and back and forth. We finally included the G&E on Thursday afternoon or Friday morning. And all day Friday, some of the days Saturday, some of the days Sunday.
Boy.
We're continuing to try to work on it. So I went ahead and made a snap purchase, and it was a darn good thing I did.
Where did you have to go to buy that thing? Pete had to buy a little piece of equipment to smooth out all of our signal problems.
I usually go to B&H, but there's some kind of, I think there's a Jewish holiday because they were gone. They weren't open all weekend.
Oh.
And they said it wouldn't have shipped, so I got...
Purim was last week.
I don't know. There's some kind of holiday because they said they were going to be closed from like...
Are they close on? I mean, they're always
Thursday.
closed. Okay, because they always close, on Friday night and all day Saturday.
Yeah, but usually they still take internet orders.
Oh, okay.
And this was a Thursday purchase, and they said they weren't open Thursday through Monday.
Okay. And they, what did they do? Express it to you?
I found something very similar on Amazon.
Okay.
And it was supposed to be delivered Saturday morning. Got delivered Friday night. I was like, sweet.
Excellent.
Tested it at home. It seemed to work. Tested it here. It worked better. It was like, sweet.
Okay.
Amazon saved the day.
And thank God we already had cable run between here and the studio.
Well, yeah. What was it, up over the ceiling? Or?
Yeah, we put it in because originally the way we broadcast Channel 15 is we ran an old RF modulator out of the studio all the way over to Mark's office because that's where the playback equipment used to be. And we had a cable run from here to there.
Now, you and I are going to stop talking about this because everybody in the audience, their eyes all just glazed over. So what the hell is an RF modulator? Yeah. But
it still works. I mean, we had an existing cable that ran 300-something feet across the floor.
Yeah.
So that was good. We didn't have to try to pop all the ceiling tiles to run that.
Oh, thank heaven.
That would have been fun.
Oh, that's always fun. Okay, you know what? It's 1:15. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
Later.
Ain't no real big secret, all the same somehow.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Commercial Distributing Company of Westfield. Now in its third generation of family ownership, Commercial is one of the premier beverage distributors of Western Massachusetts. The Plasek family and the staff of Commercial Distributing wishes you good times throughout the year and urges you to drink responsibly.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut shops of Westfield and the Sardina family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Wednesday mornings start off right from 6 to 8 a.m. with Tina Gorman and Wake Up Wednesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Hey, by George, it's Monday. Phone number here, 572-5579.
They need help, folks.
Mike Knappich.
They're tired.
I ran into Mike Knappich at the Chili and Chowder Festival of the YMCA on
Okay, so
Saturday.
you went. How was it?
It was good. Oh, it was good. A lot of good chili, lot of really, really fattening chocolate things.
Yes.
Some decent chowder. Actually the Westfield State
Culinary.
They were there with a fish chowder that was really, really tasty. I mean, really nice job. I don't know. I don't actually know who won the chowder thing.
Are you going to come to the dining commons more often now that you know they have good food?
You know what? It's
You're right here.
I know they are, and they're cheap. They're cheap and they're good. And Gina and I, this happens like at least once a month. We'll go out to eat and we'll be driving home, and she'll say, "Why didn't we go to the dining commons?" I said, "Because we forgot again. That's why." Yeah, but no, the food here is if you haven't eaten at the Westfield State Dining Commons, it's open to the public.
Yes,
it's very inexpensive, and you will be genuinely shocked at how good the food is. It's not like the cafeteria food when I was in college.
Right. Sodexo was going okay, and then there was a push to move it back into local control. Mm-hmm. And UMass came on as a consultant, and they win awards. Every single year they win awards. They
have some of the best campus food anywhere in the country. They're really they take it seriously. Great ingredients, real expertise. I can't say enough about them. They're really terrific.
So they came on as a consultant here,
mm-hmm.
and it's gotten good.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't bad before.
No,
I got to say, it was not bad. But it's I guess it's come up a notch. And
it has.
Really good stuff. So the youngsters who go to school here and eat in the dining commons,
have no idea. Yeah,
they're not starving to death. That's for sure. They're doing okay. I mean, when I went to college, back when dinosaurs roamed the earth. When I was in college in Boston, went to a place called Graham Junior College, which is not even around anymore. They folded in 1978. And that's another story. But we had our dining was in the girls' dormitory.
Really?
Yes. Now, the girls' dormitory was the old Hotel Kenmore, which once upon a time was the Boston Sports Hotel.
Right.
Right in Kenmore Square. And in the lobby of the Kenmore Hotel was a restaurant called the Beef and Bird. Among Graham students, it became known as the Beef and Barf. which will give you an idea of the quality of the food, which was to say it was terrible. It was just terrible. Junior college, it's a 2-year school. So my freshman year, I was in the dormitory eating in the Beef and Barf, and the following year, 2 buddies and I rented an apartment, and we were fortunate to get a decent rent right across the street. It was on Bay State Road, one of those old brownstones.
Yep.
So we did our own cooking the following year, which was, I'm not going to say it was a step up. Maybe it was a step sideways, but at least we got to pick what we were going to eat.
At least you didn't have ptomaine poisoning.
Well, yeah. there were cockroaches in that place. You could ride. I mean, they were just. It was ridiculous. It was not a good place. Well, Back Bay, Boston. You have to understand. Back Bay, Boston is built on fill.
Yeah,
because that's why it's called Back Bay. It was a bay.
It was backfilled.
Yeah, it was backfilled sometime around the Civil War, I think, and they built all this stuff on top of the fill. So the water table is about 6 inches below the surface, and it is a breeding ground for bugs. Right. So you find me a basement in Back Bay, Boston that doesn't have cockroaches, I defy you to find such a thing.
There's probably something thermonuclear down there generating stuff to kill them.
No.
That's the only way you get rid of them down there.
I was going to say, you're going to get mutant cockroaches, 8 feet tall and, 375 pounds.
Now, that would be fun.
You can step on them, gas them, and it'll just come
Doesn't
right
matter.
back.
Doesn't matter. They'll just eat your car with you in it.
We're struggling this morning, aren't we?
Oh,
Yes.
well, yeah. I was going to have 2 weeks ago we had a very, very serious discussion about guns.
Oh.
And
We
gun,
did, yeah.
And it was a good discussion. I think it was a meaningful discussion. And it's 2 weeks later.
Yep.
And guess what has happened in 2 weeks?
Squat.
Nothing has happened.
Diddly
The same
squat.
thing as happens every time.
And are we surprised by this?
No.
We should be, but we're not.
Well, no, we should probably be discussing.
How much are we agreeing on this
Very
morning?
much. Very much. We should be disgusted where none of us are surprised. And I was reading a.
Although, you know what? I noticed something, and I'll give them credit.
What's that?
The free market did something about it, even a small something about it.
And that you're absolutely right.
At Dick's Sporting Goods.
Dick's Sporting Goods.
Walmart did too.
Yeah. I think that's it's
The biggest retailer in the country said, you know what? We're going to do something about it if you idiots won't.
Right.
I love it.
And I do too. And it's especially the Walmart move, because I'll be perfectly honest with you, it's not something I expected from Walmart.
What did Walmart do?
Walmart has said they will not sell weapons to anyone under 21.
And a lot of places, they don't have weapons anymore. I mean, you can't buy a handgun unless you're in Alaska. The only place they carry handguns are in Alaska.
Okay.
The only place they carry sporting rifles, in most states, they don't allow them to carry sporting rifles. So they did something that the customers, basically their customers, they saw their customers said, okay, we want this.
There was a story this morning out of, I think it was an AP, there's an AP story this morning about a blow up in the Virginia legislature on Friday. A gentleman of the Republican persuasion got up and made a speech that I can only call outrageous. Accused the Democrats of everything under the sun. Announced said that the reason we're having this gun problem is because of abortion.
Okay, he's an idiot.
Well, that was stupid. That doesn't make any sense.
He's an idiot.
He is, and he is not alone in his views. He is not alone. And this is so. And I told you that so I could tell you this. What bothers me most, as you guys know, I'm a middle of the road to left leaning Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
I try to be a reasonable person. I really do try to be a reasonable person. And but it really, really disturbs me when a conservative tells me all you Democrats want to do is take away our guns. And it's not true. It's just not true. I have no problem with gun ownership. I have no problem with folks who like to hunt. It doesn't bother me, especially if it's a family tradition. I mean, if your family has been going out and sitting in the woods and freezing your butt off with a gun, waiting for deer to come by for unto 12 generations, God bless you. If that's your entertainment, I got no problem with that. In fact, not only don't I have a problem with that, I will try to mooch venison off you. Because frankly, I ain't going out in those woods. It's not my idea of a good time.
Right.
But if it's your idea of a good time, have at it. And I think you should have every right to own a gun to protect yourself in your home. I think you should have every right to own an appropriate sporting rifle to do what you're doing. If you like to target shoot, You shoot those clay pigeons from now till hell and gone. I think it's wonderful. I don't think anybody needs a semi-automatic weapon for those purposes. And I see the damage that is done by semi-automatic weapons in the hands of the little idiots who always seem to manage to get them.
Well, I think that's the problem. I'm on a side of where there's an overpopulation of misguided,
crazy people,
used adults. I mean, take a look at.
Listen, if it wasn't for crazy people, this show wouldn't be on the air right now. I'm just.
I guess we. How can we identify someone who is about to go out the deep end? Take an example.
Yeah,
the guy
but
in Las
that's
Vegas.
the taboo.
Well, yeah,
that's the taboo.
The guy in Las Vegas who shot rounds off his hotel room. I mean, this guy was what? He was. His background appeared to be normal. Ran a successful business.
Yeah, but if you dig into it, his girlfriend fled the country because she was worried he was going to pop off.
But
and we learned
people know.
We learned that now, but
But I'm saying people knew, and that's the taboo. Nobody wants to talk about it.
Are there?
How many agencies dropped the ball in Florida?
Now, well, and that's all legitimate. That's all. Yes, agencies drop the ball. Yes, our monitoring is insufficient. Yes, the danger signs may be there and we don't see them. All of those things are true, and I'm not arguing that doesn't need to be addressed. It does. But the fact of the matter is that high capacity weapons that are really designed to do only one thing, and that is to kill people, are readily available. Mm-hmm. In most of this country, you can walk into all these stores and you can buy these insane weapons with 40 round magazines and a firing rate, unmodified, mind you, an unmodified firing rate of 45 rounds per minute. Now, that's a semi-automatic. Mm-hmm. Put a bump stock on that puppy, and all of a sudden, it's a lot faster than 45 rounds a minute. It's a couple of hundred rounds a minute.
Yeah, because you don't have the recoil problem.
Right.
I got a notification from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts that now Massachusetts is banning the sale of those devices.
Oh, they're illegal. They're illegal. You have to turn them in. If you're in possession of them, they're illegal. I had a problem with search and seizure with no buyback compensation for people who have spent money on these things. Why, I don't know. They spend money on these things, but they just seizure. I have a problem with illegal search and seizure of any sort because it's a slippery slope. So there should have been said, okay, we're outlawing these. Bring them in. We'll give you $20 for them. Something.
You make a valid argument. It's not necessarily one I agree with, but you make a valid argument.
Right. But that's the search and seizure part is the slippery slope. Oh, we're going to ban this because we're going to ban Diet Mountain Dew because it's bad for your health.
Yeah, we're not banning Diet Mountain Dew. You can drink all the Diet Mountain.
They did it in New York City?
No, they banned the sale of Diet Mountain Dew.
Yes.
They banned the sale of certain drinks in New York City. Yeah, of course they did.
Okay. But
they did. But is that going to keep anybody from buying the stuff? No. Is it illegal to possess? No. Are they coming to take the Diet Mountain Dew out of your refrigerator? No. None of that is true.
Can I throw this?
You never know.
Can I throw this at you guys? Now, say if
just be careful what you hit.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
All right.
I have a shield here.
All right.
Oh, that's good.
All I got is a skinny little microphone. Yeah. Oh, and Jillian.
Thanks, Jillian.
I'll take one for the team.
I think maybe I should bring this point out. I don't know we're coming to a break soon, or do we have time?
Actually, let's identify ourselves as WSKB FM in Westfield, and we'll be right back after we take a break and Mike can reformulate his argument.
Don't try to fight it.
for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Bay State Dental. Comprehensive dentistry at 14 convenient locations in Springfield, Chicopee, Longmeadow, West Springfield, Belchertown, East Longmeadow, Ludlow, Northampton, Greenfield, and Wilbraham, as well as 29 Broad Street in Westfield. Bay State Dental makes it a priority to help you achieve and maintain the healthy smile you deserve. Visit on the web at baystatedental.com. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
It's Tuesday morning from 6 till 8. Wow, it's Tuesday with Bob Plass.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Hey, by George, it's Monday, 572-5579. For the love of God, call us and talk about something different.
Yeah, Rusty, if you're out there,
on.
call.
Yeah, Rusty.
no one's called ever.
No one, well.
Oh, on our show.
You guys
at least
ready
when
for
I'm
another
here.
snowstorm?
Oh, I was going to mention that. We are,
Wednesday
ladies and
into
gentlemen, we are under a winter storm watch.
5 to 8.
5 to 8 inches of wet, heavy, nasty, evil snow.
Oh.
I'm over.
Between Wednesday,
Give me the
between
evil eye. I'm gonna go.
Wednesday morning to Thursday morning. There's a lot of there's some real question about where the rain snow line is going to be, but right now they're calling for about 6 inches here.
Heavy snow will be after, like Wednesday afternoon, well into Thursday morning.
Oh boy!
Well, I'm certainly this would be a plowable event, like the meteorologists at Channel 22 would often say.
They like that, yeah, plowable.
Accumulating snows and all that. It's not snow, accumulating snows. Plowable event.
Mike,
I don't know. I had accumulating snow last night.
Were you really offended by a meteorologist somewhere?
Oh no! I think. Hey, I was brought up by John Quill. At least he told it like it is. These guys like to alarm, not inform.
Tom Bavacqua.
Tom.
Yeah, he was.
I love Tom.
It was good. Good weatherman.
I think he's still a teacher up in Greenfield.
Really? Okay.
He taught history at Greenfield High.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's yeah.
And I think he still does a weather forecast for Polito. I think he does.
Really?
Yes, I think he does. Yeah.
Oh. Okay. All I know is we're doomed. Yeah.
It's the end of the world.
The end of the world. So,
empty the shelves, do the normal stuff you do in Northern.
Oh, my God. We don't have enough bread and milk. Bread and milk. Let's go. Yeah. We're
you'll be watching the news.
I'm going to stop by the Cumbies and get us some milk.
You're watching news at 5:30 and says, stay tuned at 6 o'clock for my weather forecast. You couldn't tell it not right there and then?
Well, no.
Oh, no, you don't understand the consultants in news. They live off the weather. That's how they make their buck.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm dead serious. 6 times an hour?
Yeah.
It's all about the money.
6 times an hour?
Well, of course it's all about the money. That's what keeps them on the air.
That's why we have crazies in this world.
Money?
Well, yeah.
I set my alarm by the 5-day forecast is coming up in the morning, so I know what to talk about.
Sure.
Because I don't do the traffic teaser or the bus stop forecast nonsense. I wait for the 5-day.
Okay.
What I wanted to mention before the break.
Are you going to get serious again?
I'm going to get serious.
I'm leaving. That's it.
Come on.
Okay.
Well, then you can go get the Dunkin' Donuts.
Right.
All this thing with gun control and all this other baloney. I mean, say if the government or whomever are successful and taking everybody's guns away,
which they never will, but
because they'll never try.
But you know
that's
something?
Okay. Yeah.
If someone wants to do bad to the general public, they'll find a way.
That's
by running over with their car. I mean, heck, remember Timothy McVeigh back in the mid-'90s? Didn't he blow up a building with making a bomb with simple household products?
And you know what? And he couldn't do that today because those they weren't simple household products. It was a particular kind of fertilizer.
It was easy accessible at that time.
And it's no longer because of Timothy McVeigh.
Yeah, but the point...
Mike, seriously, this is the law changed. In the wake of that incident, the law changed to make that impossible. What gun control advocates are suggesting, no one is pretending. First of all, no one is even suggesting that all the guns should be confiscated. That is not a suggestion that anyone has seriously made. what people are suggesting, and I am on this side of the argument, is that, okay, you're not going to stop every attempt at mass murder, but you could make it a lot harder.
And if they don't do it with guns, they'll do it with their vehicles. They'll do it with bow and arrows.
But you,
bombing.
okay,
Yeah.
and let's see you shoot up a school full of students with a bow and arrow. Good luck with that.
No, my point is that, granted, you're not going to take care of things in great numbers and all that, but again, if you take someone...
But we can stop the mass shootings. We can at least make it far more difficult for a bad person to do that kind of damage in a short period of time with a weapon of mass destruction.
I think it's very, very difficult to identify the bad person. Like I said, if they want to find a way to do harm, to kill a human being, they will find a way. But if you take away the assault weapons, they're going to have to work a hell of a lot harder to do it. Yeah.
And I think that's all anybody on the gun control side is suggesting.
And I think if we could... now, I listen to... there are a lot of theories about video games being one of the culprits and all that. And I kind of believe that it is. I think...
If there's already a base there, it adds to realness.
I have 3 daughters who love to play first-person shooter games. You know my kids.
Yeah, I do.
Not one of them is going to go shoot up a school.
No. Right, but your kids aren't also mentally ill.
And neither are 99.9% of the kids who play those first-person shooter games. I'm sorry. I don't think it's a valid argument.
But however,
I look at the numbers. I look at the numbers since video games of any sort have come online, and people have gone. And it's not even just the video games. It's more about forcing people or people volunteering to be introverted, not interacting with others.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo. I couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah. We have a lot of single-parent households right now. Okay, kids today, to Peter's point, they're not interacting with people. They're finding the video screen entertaining and as a form of communication.
Okay, stipulated that you have a valid argument. What's your fix? How do you fix it? What do you do about it? What action can we take?
Well, I think...
Stop handing the kids the video games.
Kick them outside until the sun goes down.
Exactly. That's how
I'm sorry, people go, oh, you're old-fashioned by saying that. Yeah. No, I'm like, we all turned out fairly normal.
Oh, yeah.
Speak for yourself.
I said fairly.
Okay. Right. And I'm a hell of a lot older than you are, so...
But exactly. You look, watch right around 8 o'clock. In this college campus, at people passing by this window going to class, they're like this, with the phone right in their face, or the earbuds are in. They're not interacting with anybody. You go out there in the lounge, between any class, nobody talks to anybody.
Again, stipulated. I'm not going to disagree with you. I think you have an absolutely valid point. What do we do about it?
I think it's too late to do anything about for this generation.
It's called parenting.
It's done. The damage has been done.
Yeah.
I think we got to worry about the younger ones.
But it's even the younger ones. Like, I babysit a lot, and it drives me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
These 3- and 4-year-olds who get handed an iPad, who get handed a Wii remote. And I'm sorry, but little Shawnee at 6 years old...
Yeah.
It makes me nervous because he's so violent because of the violent video games.
It is, even all of this may be true and all of this may be valid. We don't have control, nor will we have control over how people conduct themselves as parents. We don't have control over these things. We could, if we chose, we could have control over the accessibility of weapons of mass destruction. We could have control over that. So far as a society, we have chosen not to. It doesn't make sense to me.
You're going to find this disturbing, but it's harder than I'm making it sound, but we need to rebuild the family unit. And here's something else, too.
Didn't I say that last time?
Yeah. Okay, and here's guys, I hear this constantly. Oh, my God, the family unit. How, Michael?
One second. Also, we need to bring back God, religion.
This is where I'm going to part company from you, and I'm going to say, let's take a short break.
Okay.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Barnes & Noble College Bookstore at Westfield State University, right here in the Ely Campus Center. Whether you're a student, faculty member, or friend of the university, it's the place to shop. Everything from Westfield State t-shirts, sweatshirts, and gift merchandise to all of your academic needs. Offering textbook materials in new, used, ebook, and rental formats. Visit the bookstore on campus or online at www.westfieldstate.bncollege.com.
Support for community programming on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. Visit bettsplumbing.com or 14 Coleman Avenue, Westfield. Public welcome.
Underwriting support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Greater Westfield Chamber of Commerce, the voice of business for the Greater Westfield communities. Informing, educating, advocating, the Chamber provides opportunities for members to make meaningful connections on local, regional, and state levels. For more information on the Chamber's many events, workshops, and programs, as well as the benefits of membership, visit westfieldbiz.org. The Chamber focuses on the most important economy, yours. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Discussions of local politics, events, happenings, and miscellany potpourri. Ken's Den, Tuesday, 8 to 10.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Hey, by George, it's Monday. The phone number 572-5579. For the love of God, call and inject a note of sanity into this thing.
I'm getting texts.
Adam, if you're out there, please call. You got to weigh in on this.
He's already done it. So Danny Knapik says, use mass law. Police chiefs have broad authority to revoke an LTC. My own chief in Yarmouth had said this kid in Florida would likely have stopped en masse under the chief's ability to act, then go through due process.
That is absolutely correct.
By the way, George, he says you can still buy ammonium nitrate and diesel fuel, so Oklahoma City can still happen.
Okay. I know that some legal changes were made, and I will research that, and I defer to Dan on that one.
Here's the best line of the day.
Yeah.
Laws keep good people from being stupid.
There's a lot to be said for that.
I agree with that.
There's a lot to be said for that.
And then he says, to George's point about crazy conservatives, how about the lefties just blaming the NRA?
I'm not arguing with him.
Got a point there.
There is...
Weak need polls is a big part of it. Mental health, decline of family, lack of fathers. How about talking about Chicago? 500 more killed in a year in a city that has banned private ownership.
Right. And all of the guns are coming in from states like Indiana. Where you can buy anything you want to, anytime you want to, because it's Indiana. So, you know,
Baltimore.
I take his point, but the fact of the matter is that the gun laws in neighboring states are so lax and so ridiculous that anybody can buy anything they want to and bring it over the state line. An awful lot of the guns that are being used in those places are stolen weapons. They're stolen from legal gun owners who fail to secure their weapons.
So that's where the legal gun owners get. You're going to ban everything because you want to solve the illegal stolen.
No.
But that's the chain of thought they go down.
But that's
I'm not saying it's right.
That's not the chain of thought I go down. The chain of thought I go down is the legal gun owner has a responsibility to secure his or her weapons. That's all I'm saying.
Right, which the lady in Connecticut did.
The lady in Connecticut that gave her autistic son, all the guns he wanted so he could shoot up an elementary school. That lady?
Now, was he ever... I don't think he was proven to be autistic, was he?
Yes, he was. He was diagnosed prior to the incident.
Okay, so now back to my mental health point, right? Instead of integrating him into society, which she should have, right? In interacting with him, she let him be in the basement and play violent video games all day. Point proven.
Yep.
What point? What's your point?
Well, that if you give somebody with that's all they have, that's all they know, they're gonna turn out that way, Bob. They're gonna turn out that way.
And I think you have a lot where that's kind of
a stretch. Okay.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of a stretch. You talk autism is. I'm not going to get into.
I'm a
autism.
TV geek because I watched TV a lot as a kid. I'm also fat because I watched TV a lot as a kid. Okay, so 2 symptoms of my problem, but I can name you almost any TV show back in when I was growing up. I can also name you what snacks I had while I was doing it too.
I can.
But when that's all you do, that's all you know.
Okay, take me for an example. I am 24 years old. I was not a kid who liked video games. My dad put an Xbox on our boat and it gave me a headache. I was an only child, so that makes a difference too, I guess. I didn't have anyone to play with, but not most 24-year-olds are like me. Not most 24-year-olds can go out like I do and have a conversation with 3 lovely gentlemen,
and
like
own
the 3 of you.
And own a business.
And own a business and work full time. I mean...
Yeah, in 2 jobs.
Right. I looked at my high school reunion last year and,
And have purple hair.
Well, I know. This is a new trend now, I guess.
That's okay.
Yeah.
But I just stop with the technology.
It's really, really easy to oversimplify these things. It's also easy to overcomplicate these things. I mean, you can do this both ways. There's a lot of stuff going on here, and none of the simplistic answers, well, all we got to do is, none of those are going to work. You're all correct.
Why not give them a try?
Such as? What's your suggestion, Pete?
What's my suggestion?
Yeah, give what a try.
Work on the mental health issue. Work on being society as saying, okay, it's not just a free-for-all and everybody for themselves. We're a group.
Okay.
That's the reason we can't get anything done in this country. That's the reason why gun control will never work or will never get through Congress, because we can't even get ourselves organized as a stinking group to say, do this, Congress.
You are absolutely correct.
So then I've just proved my point.
It proved that point. And I'll go you one further. If we don't, as a society, find a way past the current tribalism, we got a real problem on our hands. Because right now with the tribalism, nobody wants to agree about anything. Everybody points the finger at the other guy and say, well, it's all their fault. It's not our fault. It's their fault. It's all our fault, okay? You're correct. As a group, we've got to start talking with each other instead of at each other and past each other. And we're not doing that.
No.
Except here.
Yeah.
We're doing okay here.
And I think it starts in the home. I think whether you have a full, a 2-parent household or a single parent, I think, and I understand that people work and they put in long hours, but they got to make some concerted effort to engage in their children.
And people don't.
And that's absolutely correct. They don't, because they're tired and all that, and they just don't want to deal with it. So their son or daughter are just in the other room, just being, with their gizmos and all that. And,
Again, stipulated that I agree with everything that you just said.
I think I make a valid point.
Yeah.
Fine. Now, reasonably, as a society, what can we do to reverse the trend, other than to point at people and say, you're a bad parent?
I think it's too late for this generation. I firmly believe that. It's over and done with. We just have to wait till they're off to the sunset and all that.
Okay, I got to tell you something.
I think we have to promote, somehow instill, and I think this is where the boys and girls would come in. Try to instill self-worth into these.
Absolutely. Look, Mike, we overgeneralize these things. I'm a Key Club advisor. I advise a group of high school students in Northampton. Mm-hmm. I see them at least once a month. These kids are the best, and they're not unusual. They're not rare. They're not. We overgeneralize that. Today's generation are like this. Millennials are like this. No, you know what? They're individuals. All of these kids are individuals, and I see constantly in my interactions with these young people how bright and how engaged and how admirable they are.
That's true. That's in the advisor that in school that you're affiliated with, but in the other side, there are other schools that the student body have a lack of respect.
Okay, so
for the teachers, the administrators, and you have to look very far to see that. I mean,
that's talking about responsibility too.
We're talking about a lot of things. It's 7:00. This is WSKB FM Westfield. We'll be right back.
Rusty
after
call.
A break.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley. With convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut, visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
Discussions of local politics, events, happenings, and miscellany potpourri. That's what you'll find on Ken's Den, Tuesdays from 8 till 10.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Are we on the air? Hi, we're on the air. Oh, boy, that surprised everybody in the room, didn't it? Yeah.
Good morning.
Boy, these side discussions can be confusing. Anyway, hey, good morning. Bye, George. It's Monday. If you haven't been here for the first hour, you didn't miss anything.
I think they missed a lot.
572.
Somebody says we should get Bob Plass. Danny says we should get Bob Plass looped in as a psychotherapist. He might have some insight.
Oh
no! I've had these debates with Bob Plass.
That could be really entertaining, though.
It could be.
Come on, Bob, call us.
572-5579.
James might be awake.
So what do we got? We got Dan Knappich engaged in
like
the
a
discussion.
Stream of consciousness.
He's texting furiously.
I think he should just call.
Well, I think I'd rather hear his voice than have you report his texts. But
I did like the one about typically these mass shooters are loners and isolated, not Key Club members.
I think
Thank you, Dan. I was thinking the same thing, but didn't want to say it out loud.
But
you can say
it. But that's my point. My point is that we have vehicles to engage these kids. We have things like Key
But it's
Club.
up to the parents and
Of
society
course
to
it's
support the
kids.
parents to support the kids.
Amen.
Exactly. So how do we do that?
You realize
this is what I keep coming back
to. You realize,
to.
George, we're all
on.
You're there's 3 against 1 on this one. We think that we can all
tell me how. Tell
we need
me
to get
how.
the school systems involved, and if it's, I don't want to call it parenting classes, but I don't know, something.
The schools can't raise the kids.
The
parents have to raise the kids.
Right.
So we need to teach people how to parent their children in this ever-changing society.
Exactly.
And the teacher didn't sign up for that job.
But what I'm saying is we as regular people, right? Regular voters or regular people should say, listen, it's not acceptable to have a family that you just let the kids watch TV all the time, or you don't let the kids do things. I bet you that's... Caller, go ahead.
Hey, Pete, Dan, how you doing?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I've been reading your stream of consciousness all morning.
I know. This is a great topic because, a lot of people have a lot of opinions on it, but to George's point, there's been too much talking past each other. But I would just offer up a couple things to think about. One, when you look at the era that George, myself, and you, Pete, we all grew up in, I often go and spend a lot of time in schools, and one of the things that I was mindful of is I came from a very strong paternal background. And today, you hear, periodically people talk about the missing good male role models from the time very young kids start their process growing up. A lot of it's the disintegration of the family. There's almost no male teachers left in the elementary school cycle, very few in the middle school, and a few more in the high school. But when we went through school, there was returning World War II vets that got the GI Bill. They became these monumental key figures for us growing up. Then it was Korean War vets and Vietnam vets, and that's all gone today. And, one of the things that I think that is really problematic is I had an interesting conversation with a DCF social worker who specializes in these very violent cases in which you and I read about them in the newspaper, where the police executed a raid and it was trafficking in pornography, children pornography and some of these other crimes that have gone on. But I had a chance in off-the-record discussion, and he let me into the world he sees every day in the families across our own city where these young kids are exposed to. It is so horrendous. It disgusted me as a human being to hear what he had to say. And to the point about reaching kids, we'll always reach a huge majority of kids in a very good way. But there's an enormous amount we'll never reach because their family situation is so horrific. I think of the young girl that was horribly beaten on Highland Avenue, and she's in some significant rehabilitative state today. And that happened under our own eyes, within our own school system, that we couldn't save her from her own family situation. And I don't have the answer to a lot of this stuff, but it's a significant problem, and it starts with dialogue in it, and we just got to be able to be respectful of each other's opinions.
I couldn't have said that any better.
Didn't we host a high school student forum a few years back at Westfield State
on opioid stuff? But I mean, Haley Putri happened that. Right
no,
here.
He's talking about something else. We had we did a Kiwanis. Yeah, we did a Kiwanis Key Leader thing.
Why can't our Kiwanis Club organize something similar to that?
Well, we can, but and the problem with something like that, in my view, is that what we reach with one of those is kids who are already highly motivated.
That's correct.
We're not getting
but you know what?
the kids we need to
If you get to a
to.
tipping point, that becomes peer pressure, and it expands. Peer pressure works both ways, you know. It works negative and positive.
Sure. And it should be promoted that everybody is welcome. Everybody. All students are welcome. It'll be
but the ones that you need to reach aren't going to show up.
That's true. Somehow we need to bring them in. Somehow bring them in. To have a dialogue, to have a forum, to really have these kids voice their concerns and all that. Because a lot of it is like, once they get it off their chest, it's like a ton of bricks off their shoulders.
We have, one of the things Kiwanis does, and however imperfectly we may do it, we have these K kids in clubs in the elementary schools that try to empower kids by showing them that they, no matter their home circumstances, no matter their personal circumstances, they can be a force for good in the community. And children respond to that. I think we need to make that more available. I wish we had it in every elementary school in Westfield. We don't at this point. And it's not a panacea by any means.
Promote this
thing. No, but it's a start.
Yeah, it is.
And certainly it's not going to be solved in 1 year, or it may take 5, maybe 10 years. Thing is, if we can promote this, you matter.
It needs to start turning around.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, let me add this to it. I have an interesting perspective on what George has been talking about. My kids have gone periodically to the after-school program at the Boys and Girls Club, in the Kids Club, and it's fabulous. And I would, even when I was in office, I would talk to Bill Parks, and I would marvel at how many children before and after school his club is attending to, and also the YMCA, who actually has a license to go into our elementary schools and run a before and after program. And I thought about that. I grew up in the era of Nancy Reagan, Say No to Drugs, and Latchkey Kids. Now, I don't know if anybody remembers Latchkey Kids, but I was one of those kids where my mom went off to work and I was home alone, and she taught me how to do a lot of things, how to get the meal ready for the family, how to do my laundry and all this stuff. And what was interesting to me is how the family dynamic has changed over the years. And I would say, I heard Bill yesterday, I think, on the auction, which, by the way, congratulations to the Kiwanis. I watched a lot. It was an awesome time. And but Bill had mentioned that over 400 kids a day now are being seen at the club. And, and I thought, what would our community be like if we didn't have those resources for our parents? Think of all the kids that don't have that ability to go to the club for whatever reason, and they're sitting at home, and they're sitting in isolation, and who knows what they're up to, and it's just such a huge task today for a community to reach everybody with all the challenges, like some of which I've illustrated already. But, it's just amazing. And I tell people wherever I travel how fortunate we are to have lived in Westfield with all these great social services. I find myself in the Cape now. Very different environment. Very few social services of magnitude. There's almost zero infrastructure by the local governments to deal with this kind of stuff. And we are struggling mightily out at the Cape, whether you're a senior citizen or whether you're a young family trying to get your kids off to school and have after-school care. Government out there does nothing like what it does for us, there's no institutions like we have of magnitude. In Westfield, took care to the best of its ability, all of its citizens, from seniors to young children. And you know, I sometimes think people forget how huge of a role that is today and how fortunate we are to live in Westfield. But I get a great perspective on it, even just now responding to the storm this weekend. I mean, I'm going on county conference calls and how little infrastructure there was to take care of all these tens of thousands of people on the Cape without power. And I'm like, man, we went through 5 federally declared disasters in Westfield, and we took care of ourselves. And it was astonishing how well our community took care of itself. But that's how fortunate we were in Westfield. All these groups right here in a little city took care of all their people all those years, you know. It was a wonderful story.
Certainly was, Dan, and you know, we are all fortunate to live in a community where we really care about each other in Westfield. I mean, our neighbors are good neighbors, and there are a lot of groups, and Kiwanis is certainly not the only one. You know, we have lots and lots of local groups that work really, really hard to provide support for each other. And you're right, not every community has that.
Maybe that's why we find it so hard to come to grips with something like this, is we don't see that necessarily in our community. We don't.
No, we don't.
Even in the lower incomes, there's still community within the community.
There are so many resources here for the parent, you know, for the single parent, for the parent, for the low income parent, for the parent. Anyone in this community who wants help can get it. It's not that hard to find. All they've got to do is call the Boys and Girls Club, and they will find a whole world of resources. And if Bill Parks and Kelly Brown don't have the resources, they know who does, and they can direct people to the right places.
Interestingly enough, early in my time in office, it was late on a Friday afternoon, and a young mom came to my office in tears. She had like 2 or 3 kids with her, and I said, "What's the matter?" She goes, "Well, I just was evicted from my apartment." It was in that window of opportunity when the weather warms up, where landlords can go after, you know, folks for not paying their rent or whatnot. So here she is. She lands on my doorstep, and I'm a new mayor. I don't know all the players yet. I picked up the phone and I called Gail Agassi over at Salvation Army. And I said, "Gail," I said, "I got this young lady here. She's got a couple of kids." I said, "I don't know what to do with her at 4:25 on a Friday afternoon." She goes, "Send her my way. We'll take care of it." And in a short amount of time, you know, Gail just took care of it with whatever infrastructure she had available to her. And if the same thing happened to me in town in Yarmouth, it'd be a lot more difficult for me to be able to have that kind of resource available just that quick, that we take care of our citizens. And it was like, you know, I walked away from that saying, my God, how thankful am I to be able to be the mayor in a city that has those kinds of people and those kinds of agencies willing to step up, you know, when many places just don't have it. And we didn't know this person from anyone. All we knew was she landed here in Westfield and she was asking for help.
That's a great story. I worry about communities like Holyoke and Springfield, where the resources can be overwhelmed by the demand. I mean, there's an awful lot more stuff going on in those cities than there is in a place like Westfield. And then, as you say, in our more rural communities or out on the Cape, where the infrastructure doesn't even exist. But I think that's part of what what Pete has been talking about is you know, the breakdown of the family, the breakdown of the resources. In many places, we don't have the resources available to help a parent who just doesn't know what to do, a parent who's at the end of their rope, and that leaves the parent and the kids twisting in the wind. We need to work on that. We really, as a society, we really need to work on that. And I don't care if the resources come from government or if they come from extra governmental agencies. I think it takes both. I think it takes a partnership. I think, Dan, you'd probably agree. We have a really good partnership here in Westfield between our public and private agencies. We've kind of got it together here.
Oh, absolutely. And all of us that are on this conversation this morning could name 5 people very quickly that, if no matter what the trauma or help was, you could name 5 different individuals in Westfield that could connect you quickly with some kind of assistance or help. And we all know the names of the players. Mm-hmm. And that, to me, is what makes, you know, the community such a great place to have to have lived in to serve as mayor all those years was that was our community, and I think we had a good balance of ability to take care of our own. And I would put a shout out to the Carson Center, because I do know mental health is a significant challenge, and they have grown dramatically in their presence in town. And I spent a lot of time with the folks over there, getting to learn what their capabilities was. And what my walk away from that was there just was not enough of that kind of service available to people in crisis, So for what it's worth, I got to take off. The drive is getting a little dicey here, but you guys keep up the debate, keep going. I think it's good as a community to air these things out. I would, maybe talk to, Luke John Camerata, and I made it a point to talk to my police chief, went over this case in Florida with him, and I said, Chief, tell me this couldn't happen in our town. He goes, no, there were so many warning signs. The law gives me great latitude to intervene, make the judgment, and then worry about that in the legal due process system afterwards. And I know chiefs across the Commonwealth grappled with the uncomfortness of being the deciding authority on a license to carry firearms and all that stuff. But in the end, in a case like that, with a kid that had so many contacts with law enforcement and school authorities, I would like to think that any chief in Massachusetts would have been able to see that coming and execute the proper decision-making to avoid it. But for what it's worth, not everybody's like that. We've got 50 states. That's what makes America, America, So.
Okay.
On that, gentlemen, and
Dan,
audience at home,
thanks for calling in. Drive carefully,
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thanks. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
It was pointed out that there are a lot of agencies that would help people and all that. But something, and explain something to me, because sometimes in my mind there's a disconnect. I mean, it all comes down to fundamentals. I mean, are these agencies are they going to help parents become parents?
No.
No. Okay. Wait a minute. Now let's take a step back from that.
I mean, they're going to help.
They will if the parent asks for help. If the parent says, geez, I don't know what to do here. All right. If the parent says, I'm in over my head, I don't know.
I get that,
Right. DCF is not an evil agency. They when they have to, they put their foot down and say the kids are going. But they're the caseworkers would rather help a family so they don't have to do that.
They'd much rather.
Right. And they'd rather have a family where it gets to the point where they don't have to be a caseworker anymore. That's their goal. That's what they want to see, and more often than not, they never get there.
We have social services in this community, in this state. We have a range of social services. We have a range. We do have some mental health services, although it's not as much as I would like to see, and I don't think we devote nearly enough time and effort and energy to making sure that those services are available to people who need them. Those services are lacking, and consistently, and I'm not talking about our state legislature, because I think our state is actually relatively good about these things, but when you get to the federal level, Congress gives it lip service and then doesn't do anything.
The flip side is nobody wants to pay any more taxes to solve some of these problems either.
Exactly. And that drives me crazy. Well, it's like everybody wants the services and nobody wants to pay for them.
Correct.
You know how I feel about that. I'm more, like I said, George, you think, there's Democrat and Republican. I'm more on side with the libertarian side of things. Not get the federal government out of our business.
Yeah, I have great respect for your opinions, Mike. I think on this one you're completely wrong. I think the money, but Mike, the money has to come from somewhere. And I'm not saying the federal government should be running mental health agencies. I'm saying the federal government needs to provide funding that's channeled down to local agencies to provide these services. Let it be on a state level.
Let it be on a state level.
Why?
Okay, so you want to pay more in state taxes then?
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine.
Well, if you could talk about the tax thing, it's put more in state and less in federal. Let the federal do its job, like protecting us and building the infrastructure. That's it.
Well, they're not doing that either.
Well,
that's
break time.
Okay, if you say so. Go to it.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Commercial Distributing Company of Westfield. Now in its third generation of family ownership, Commercial is one of the premier beverage distributors of Western Massachusetts. The Plasek family and the staff of Commercial Distributing wishes you good times throughout the year and urges you to drink responsibly. Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Comcast and Xfinity.com. With the Xfinity Double Play and Xfinity Triple Play, you can choose to bundle Comcast services for a great value. Experience Xfinity TV, Internet, home phone, and home security services. Explore all that Xfinity has to offer in the Westfield area on the web at Xfinity.com. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Friday mornings is something different on 89.5 FM. It's JP's Talk About Town.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Bye, Georgia. It's Monday, 572-5579. Dan Knappich can't be the only guy in Western Massachusetts with a telephone. Somebody else has to have a telephone.
You sure about that?
I don't know. Maybe he's got the only one, and it's in his car. I just don't know.
Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Peter. How are you?
Good.
I have something something that Mr. Delisle said earlier struck me as really important, and it reminded me of Fran Lebowitz, the humorist. One of her great lines was, "The opposite of talking is not listening. The opposite of talking is waiting." And that's exactly what happened with your little roundtable discussion about gun control. Mr. Delisle brought up an extremely important issue of not listening to what the other person is saying. And it's the classic waiting for someone to stop talking so you can say what you want instead of listening and responding. And the issue was, what's wrong with taking assault-type rifles off the market? And the argument, the answers came in the form of, well, we need to restructure the family environment. We need to get rid of violent video games. We need to bring God back into our lives. Instead of answering his question, and instead of focusing on that one issue, which is a task that's achievable. removing those weapons from the market is something that is possible to do, and it's possible to do fairly easily compared to restructuring the family unit and bringing God back into society.
Kate,
yes.
What I didn't make very clear was I agree with George on that. And in the first discussion that we had about it a couple of weeks ago, we agreed on that.
Yeah,
we
right? Actually all agreed on that.
No. We agreed on that, but now we're saying, okay, you do that, but that doesn't solve that. That takes away a symptom of the problem. It doesn't address the entire problem.
Yeah, I'm with.
Excuse me, Jillian. That's exactly correct. It doesn't solve the entire problem, but it solves part of it. And Mr. Delisle kept repeating, well, yeah, but what are you going to do about that? Well, what are you going to do about that? How are you going to solve these enormous societal problems? And they are huge and will take generations of our society being redirected toward a focus on something that's sane. But why not remove the immediate insanity of humans who are not in the military, not associated with any police departments? Why not remove that particular weapon? That's one concrete issue that can be addressed without all the tentacles of the other enormous issues.
Okay, Kate, so I agree with you on that. So now, what do you do as a citizen? I'm going to ask you the question to see if you know the answer, because I've already started the process, but from my purview, I've started the process. What do you do as a citizen to change that? How do you go about doing that?
Lobby our legislators.
That's a really good start.
That's the only thing that we can do. Look at what the other thing about George talking about the Circle K kids and how bright and wonderful they are. Well, we had a large number of bright, articulate young people at Marjorie Stoneham Douglas High School reacting to their classmates being murdered in front of them.
And I might note that we lost, as I understand it, we lost 2 key clubbers in that shooting. So there was a substantial key club at that school, and it didn't stop the horror from happening.
No, it didn't stop the horror from happening. Excuse me. But my point is that we had those young, articulate, passionate people calling for their legislators to act in a sane manner and address the situation and take that type of firearm off the market, among other things.
And not only are they being ignored by the legislatures, but those kids are getting death threats.
Oh, not only are they being ignored, it wasn't even 24 hours later that I saw reference to the young man whose father is a retired FBI agent being referred to as and I love these little labels, crisis actor. Denigrate the kid, insult his intelligence, blame the victim immediately. It's that type of reaction.
But not everybody did that, Kate.
No,
not everybody did. But you know what surprised me is that, and this is you don't know this until you work in government or something. Government moves very, very slowly, so it's going to take a long time to get a bill through. You can't just snap to and pass a bill like that. But
well, Pete, look, the reality is that with the current Congress, there isn't going to be a bill.
But
no bill is going to get a hearing with this current Congress.
But private enterprise can move very quickly.
Do you know?
And some of them did.
Peter, yes, they did, and I laud them for it. And believe me, the next time I need a pair of socks, I'm going to go to Dick's and buy them. But the thing is, a minuscule amount of their sales was involved in
but that's okay. They did something.
Yes.
They did something. They set an example.
Yes.
It's not is in terms of doing anything meaningful to remove the availability of those guns from the marketplace, it's just not significant, because most of the gun sales are they're smaller shops that are selling these things. It does nothing to affect the gun show problem. It does nothing to affect private sales. It doesn't really change anything. But I commend Dick's and I commend Walmart for having the courage to take such a public action that says enough.
Absolutely. I agree 100% with you. And I believe that they did that hoping that others would follow suit. And it would lead the revolution from the consumer's point of view.
That's the only way it's going to work.
Well,
I hear so much. I don't want this to come out wrong. There is such a thing as a responsible gun owner. There really is such a thing. And there are people who own firearms, and they are responsible, and they do take their responsibility seriously. And they secure their weapons, and they have trigger locks, and they do all of the things they're supposed to do to keep their weapons out of the hands of bad people. Why those responsible gun owners are not telling the National Rifle Association, back the hell off, is what bothers me. Because apparently they're not doing that. They're not telling the NRA that, you know what, we're responsible gun owners and we think there should be level-headed, common-sense controls on who can own these weapons, and there should be some level-headed, common-sense regulation of what kind of weapons an ordinary person can own.
Some of them are trying, but the media refuses to cover them because that's not a good story.
No. Let's stop blaming the media. This is not the media's fault.
No. It's all pieces. It's all pieces, George. That's what I'm saying. It's pieces. I saw an article floated around the internet. I don't even know if it's true, but it's a former military guy saying this needs to stop.
Yeah, that guy is apparently he seems to be legitimate.
Okay, but what I'm saying is I don't know if it's true, but the only place it got on was the internet, and it got passed around. Did I see that anywhere in the mainstream media? No.
As a former journalist, this drives me crazy.
A letter to the editor, though.
Yeah.
Did it get published anywhere?
Did what get published anywhere?
His article that he wrote is apparently a blog or something.
Okay. Did he send it to a newspaper?
I don't know.
I don't either. Stop blaming the media for these issues. The media isn't the problem.
But hold on. I'm just going to interrupt you real quick.
Okay.
When this gets spread around so much, right? And if it's legitimate, why doesn't a legitimate media source go look at this and go, we need to contact this guy and find out what the deal is?
Perhaps someone did, and I don't know about it. But this is not a media issue. What I'm talking about is why don't the legitimate gun owners in this country who are members of the National Rifle Association contact the National Rifle Association and say, this is what we want to happen.
Maybe they have, though. I've been a member of a union several times in my life, and I've told my leadership that they're complete flippin' idiots, and I sit there and go, but we don't care.
My feeling is that the National Rifle Association is not taking its marching orders from its members.
Correct.
It's taking its marching orders from the gun manufacturers.
Correct. I wouldn't disagree with you there.
Okay, that's not right. Is that right?
Look at the labor unions. Do they take their marching orders from their membership? It's a big organization, and the top people have no idea what the bottom people are doing.
Okay. And
Kate,
is it right?
I'm going to go and drink my coffee. I just perked a pot of coffee. Thank you, Skyline, for selling Shelburne Falls coffee roasters.
Oh, love Shelburne Falls.
Thank you. Thank you so much for calling in.
Yeah, Kate, it's a good perspective.
George, I'd like you to ask the gentleman sitting across from you, not Peter. I'm not familiar
Michael?
with the other gentleman. Yes. I'd like you to ask him again. Or perhaps I'll ask you, Mike.
Okay.
Is it Michael?
Yep.
When George asked what's wrong with taking AR-15s and weapons like that off the market, I believe that your reaction was something about addressing the psychology of people who have mental illness getting access to guns.
Yeah, well,
you never really answered his question specifically. If taking those weapons off the market, as he said, excuse me, and I agree, will make it more difficult for people with mental health issues getting their hands on weapons like that.
Kate, I'm going to ask Mike to answer that question right after we take a station break because we did miss our bottom of the hour ID. Okay. Thank you for calling in. This is WSKB FM Westfield. Let's take a quick break.
WSKB's programming is generously underwritten by Whip City Fiber. Westfield Gas and Electric wants to help you decide where they offer gigabit speed Whip City Fiber Internet next. Turn your neighborhood into a fiberhood. Get on the list today at www.whipcityfiber.com. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Friday mornings is something different on 89.5 FM. It's JP's Talk About Town.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
By George, is it ever Monday? 572-5579, the telephone number. I had no idea we were going to get this serious today. Mike, Kate Pagatti just asked you a very specific question.
Okay.
How about your very specific answer?
My specific answer is I have no problem banning these types of weapons. These for sale. These weapons have no place in the household. However, if it's for the law enforcement, it's for the military. Yeah, of course it's not sold to the general public, but see, I have no problem with the banning of these assault rifles. They serve no purpose other than really the killing
machines. Yeah,
right. That's. So I'm not saying that they should leave it. Have the ability to have it for public sale. Hey, I applauded Dick's and Walmart to. I think it's a big start. I think it's an awesome start. Okay, but once we succeed in that, again, to what I said earlier, there are a lot of bad people out there. Father Joe would say, no, there's no bad people. There's a lot of people who do bad things, but whatever the case. But
that's good.
Yeah, I mean, they're
We're going to get Father Joe on this show pretty soon.
We should.
I want to be here that day.
But that's my only thing.
One.
I mean, we could, again, to the point I made earlier, we could ban all weapons straight across the board. But basically, if you have a bad person wanting to do bad things, they're going to do it.
You don't need a gun.
You don't need a gun.
Well,
they could do it with their vehicles.
It's okay, and what you say is absolutely true. But come on, a gun is a way more efficient way to kill people.
Well, I don't know. The terrorists have found a box truck does well too.
A box truck can
or an
do
airplane.
It. Look, absolutely, there are ways to do these things.
Right. But I agree.
But
with you,
right
George.
now, it is so easy for an unbalanced person to get their hands on a weapon that will fire 45 rounds a minute and a pocket full of 40-round magazines. I mean, they can take out hundreds of people in a matter of minutes with one of those things. It's a lot more work to plan a bombing. I'm sorry. It's a lot more work.
It's a lot of work. You're talking in numbers. Basically, how I see it, whether you kill 50 people or 2 people or 1 person, that's still bad.
Of course it's bad.
It's still bad.
So let's make it harder for them to kill 50 people. Let's make it harder. That's all. I think that's all anybody is suggesting at this point. Let's make it more difficult for the unbalanced person, for the bad person to get their hands on the weapon that makes it really easy for them to kill a whole bunch of people in a short period of time.
Caller, go ahead.
Yes, hello. I want to tell you about something that happened on myself walking on the dike in Westfield several years ago. I was walking in one direction. 2 teenagers were coming toward me in my direction. I had seen a beer bottle on the ground, and when they passed me, I heard the beer bottle break. And I turned around and I said, "Why did you do that?" And they said, "The world is so effed up anyway. What difference does it make?"
So you're talking lack of respect.
I'm talking about what I and the children of our community see on television, see in movies, see in video games, see disrespect on television programs. And our children are not bad people. It's our generation that is responsible for what is happening to the children. They're a blank slate. And when I see pictures of Syria and Afghanistan all bombed and shot up, that's using guns to solve problems. With video games and what they're seeing on TV, the dismemberment of people in shows, the disrespect for women, the disrespect for society, for animals, they're frustrated. They don't know what to do. They're in the throes of their hormones, and they see what's on the air. I'm not surprised at all at what kids are doing because they don't know how to deal with all of this. And that's one point. The second point I wanted to make was you were talking about money. We are blowing so much money on wars and military and destruction and prisons. Let's take that money, educate people, build a better society, use soldiers to solve problems in this society instead of destroying the rest of the world. As long as adults and children are seeing destruction and feeling that pain, as I feel that pain, you have a hurting society, committing suicide, taking drugs, wanting to escape. And that's a reality I think we have to face. It's the bigger problem of what we as a country are doing in the world and how we're teaching to solve problems. And if we don't look at it honestly, if we don't really deal with that hard problem, then we're still going to be in this whirlwind of suffering the effects of it.
You make some great points, caller. Some really great points. Part of the problem, as I've seen this for some time, is and I mentioned it earlier, was this whole tribalism thing, where we've broken our society into little special interest groups. We've got religious groups, and we've got gun ownership groups, and it's right and left, and we've stopped seeing ourselves as America.
Yep.
And that's really at the core of this whole thing, where we should all be looking at ourselves as Americans, as part of one big society. There may be competing interests, and there will always be competing interests, but those interests can be balanced.
I appreciate what you're doing here today. This conversation is amazing to hear it on the radio, what people have called in and said, and I think we're going in a good direction. And one warning I have is that it's in the best interests of the people who don't want us to solve our problems in this country and get together. It's in their interests to label people.
I call them politicians.
Right, to label left and right, conservative and liberal, men and women, all of the distinctions, the hate groups, the religious distinctions between people. What we need to do is sit down and talk about our problems without labeling people. Just look upon it as what is all the information and where do we want to go. It's in the best interest of those in power to keep us separated from each other by labeling us.
Diane, George just said it. We should all be labeled Americans. That should be first.
Exactly. So thank you for your program. Thanks
for calling in.
Thank you for calling in. We really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, it's 7:46. We're going to take one more short break. We'll be right back.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Barnes & Noble College Bookstore at Westfield State University, right here in the Ely Campus Center. Whether you're a student, faculty member, or friend of the university, it's the place to shop. Everything from Westfield State t-shirts, sweatshirts, and gift merchandise to all of your academic needs. Offering textbook materials in new, used, ebook, and rental formats. Visit the bookstore on campus or online at www.westfieldstate.bncollege.com.
Support for community programming on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. Visit bettsplumbing.com or 14 Coleman Avenue, Westfield. Public welcome.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Wally Computer Associates, one of the largest technology providers in North America. Headquartered in Southwick, Wally provides all of the products and services that you'd expect from a world-class technology partner to schools, colleges, businesses, as well as state and local governments and agencies. Wally Computer Associates, meeting all of your technology needs. On the web at WCA.com. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
Thursday morning from 6 till 8, it's Patrick Berry, owner of the Westfield News Group.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Hey, bye, George. It's Monday. George Delisle here with Pete Coles and Jillian Knapp and Michael Silvestri.
Great callers.
Good
morning.
Great
Good
callers.
morning.
Great callers. You know, the key to this whole thing, and I Pete, I wish our politician friends would pay attention to what's happening here.
We should send them a copy of this.
We should send them a copy of this. We are demonstrating, ladies and gentlemen, that people who have differing opinions on important societal issues can have reasonable, rational discussions without getting angry with each other.
Even though we don't agree, I still love you.
Even if we don't agree,
and we
that's
come to
okay.
some compromises too.
The thing is that we can find specific areas where we do agree, and that's what needs to happen if we're going to move forward on these issues. Our politicians have got to stop screaming across the aisle at each other and saying, "Okay, where can we agree? What steps can we all agree on? Let's take those steps." It's baby steps, people.
They're always low-hanging fruit.
Exactly. Exactly.
They could literally push a bill right now with the climate in America. They could push a bill through to stop the sale, not confiscate, stop the sale of assault rifles, right?
That's exactly right.
They could push one through, and I think, from what I'm getting from the White House, he'd probably sign it. If not,
I wouldn't place a bet on that.
And if not, I would put pressure on Congress to veto that.
Or to override a veto.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. I would think that would be appropriate. But well, you know what? Every day is a new day. If we as citizens tell our legislators this is what we damn well want, compromise, folks. Stop being stubborn. Stop saying no, my way or the highway. Let's find some areas for compromise. That's what we as citizens require of you, and if you don't do it, we'll find somebody who does.
That's what they used to do till about the 80s. The late 80s, early 90s is when it stopped.
I mean, look, the gerrymandering problem in a lot of the country is
but that's been going on since the 1700s.
I know, but it's not like this. It has accelerated. It has become worse than it ever was. And so many, especially Republican legislators find themselves in districts that are so heavily gerrymandered that they're terrified to compromise. They've got electorates that no compromise. We don't want you to compromise. We want you to vote against everything.
What? I'd rather see them have some integrity and do the right thing than say I need to get reelected. I'd rather have a revolving door.
Well, I think most of us would, but I don't think the legislators see it that way.
I mean, do we
because it's become a profession to them.
Yeah, of course.
It's not how it was intended.
I mean, are they really listening to their constituents?
I would say no.
No, they're listening to the Koch brothers and the Tea Party and the people who control the flow of the money and the people who will put
and are the constituents saying anything? I mean, I think that's another problem too. Is that a lot of people are just sitting back and just letting things happen.
Look at your voting numbers, folks.
and they're venting on social media.
Well, we've said that before, and
I saw somebody post about potholes in social media.
Oh my God!
And I think I replied, "Did you call the DPW?" And the answer was no. And I said, "I don't want to hear you. Delete your comment."
Now, how about going to a town meeting or just voice your concerns and all that, rather than being on the stupid iPad and iPhone and going on Facebook and saying something stupid.
It's like when people come into the store and they're like, nothing happens in Westfield. There's nothing to do. And I look at them straight in the face. They say, what are you doing to make things happen in Westfield? Oh, well, nothing. Yeah. Well, then stop. You're complaining.
I hate that, though, because there's all kinds of things happening in Westfield.
There is so much stuff happening in Westfield all the time. No one can keep track of all of it. That's how much stuff is going on in this town.
The mayor said, the former mayor said, there used to be a time where the mayor could make all the events in a weekend. Yeah. And the current mayor goes, no, that ain't going to happen. I got to pick my spots.
It's absolutely impossible. That's how much is going on in this community. And we have so many active, engaged community organizations that are making things happen. And if you're going to complain that nothing is happening in Westfield, then by God, go join one of those organizations and get involved and make stuff happen. We've got so many civic clubs. We've got Kiwanis, we've got Rotary, we've got Lions. We've got Westfield on weekends.
Which I'm becoming a board member of in May, by the way.
Of what?
Wow.
Mm-hmm. As Dan Knappich
Congratulations.
Said, I made eye contact with Bob Plass yesterday, so apparently I may be joining you. So, hey, all right.
Kiwanis and wow.
He hasn't got me yet. But like Dan Knappich pointed out, I think it's interesting in this community that we kind of live in a bubble. We really do. The fact that we are fairly rugged and take pride in our self-sufficiency around here. And that we have neighbors that look out. You may not know your neighbors, but yet if something bad happens, they will help you.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's rare, or I don't know if that's prevalent. But it seems like it's honestly, rare.
I don't. It's more rare than it ought to be. But I'll tell you, I've said this on this air before. Before I joined Kiwanis, I'm going to put this plug in. Before I joined Kiwanis, I didn't know anybody in Westfield. I knew my next door neighbors on both sides. I knew the guy behind me and I knew the guy across the street. And that was it. That was all.
Yep.
And then I joined the Kiwanis Club in 2004. And within a couple of years, I discovered that I knew everybody. I mean, I just, it's you get a level of involvement when you join a group like Kiwanis. And it doesn't have to be Kiwanis. It can be Rotary. It can
I'm
be
lucky
Lions,
to have the seat that I'm sitting in right here.
Yeah.
Because of all the people that I meet come through this studio in a week.
Everybody in this room right now, I know all of you because of Kiwanis.
Well, before Kiwanis, my heart was empty. Now, with Kiwanis, it's filled to overflowing.
This comes from the Libertarian.
Well, now he used to be a JC, and he got too old, and they threw him out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it affected me to this very day.
Yeah.
Age discrimination. That's what I say.
It's good that Michael is here to keep us grounded, or not you, Michael,
Thank
the
goodness.
other Michael. Yeah. we got two Michaels. Yeah, Michael. We'll call him Buster because it's just easier.
Yeah,
with this group. Buster posted something on Facebook yesterday that I thought was hilarious, and now I can't remember what the hell it was. So, I don't know.
Is
it about the squirrel?
No, I don't remember a squirrel. I don't remember much now that I think about it.
You're still a little fried from yesterday.
My brain is toast. My brain is absolutely toast. Yeah, we'll find out. Next week we'll report on what Buster said that was hilarious.
He does post some.
He does.
Interactions with his daughter are very funny.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you know what? I think it was a kid thing.
Something with Serenity, his daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You named your daughter after a space movie?
Yes, actually, he did.
Yes, we were Browncoats.
God bless you. Okay.
We were going to name her Brady, but then we were looking through and we saw the name Serenity, and we thought, oh, wow, that'd be great.
Yeah. That's like if I'd named one of my kids Enterprise.
If she was a boy, her name would have been Battlestar Pegasus McMahon. So.
Man, you are hardcore. Wow. Anyway, this has been a very interesting morning.
This has been the most interesting morning I've had on the radio.
You thought you were going to make it through 2 hours.
No, you know what? It was one of those. When I was in high school, okay, again, when dinosaurs roamed the earth.
You're not that old.
I am that old. I used to haunt. There was an AM radio station in Manchester, Connecticut called WINF. It was a kilowatt daytimer. Okay, Pete knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody else does. The signal could barely get across the street. But it was a talk radio station. It was an early talk radio station, and this is before...
It sounds like WDEW here in town.
Yeah, kind of. And this is before right-wing talk really became a thing.
Right. It was like what we're doing this morning.
Yeah, and I used to go there and hang out, and there were a couple of great talk guys on that thing. There was a fellow named Dennis Richards, who I think has passed away. And another guy, Chuck Krause, who was then a news guy. Later, he was a news guy at WDRC in Hartford, and then he was at EEI. And then he moved on, and I believe he actually owned a radio station before he retired. Just a great AM news guy. But these guys would let me on the show when I was like 16 years old, and because I didn't sound like I was 16.
Because you had an opinion, probably, too.
You know what? But the funniest, the shows we did... The ones that just got really ridiculous is when we'd talk about JFK, its assassination.
Oh, get into the conspiracy stuff?
And the conspiracy stuff, and UFOs.
Oh, yeah?
UFOs.
Oh.
And those shows would just be insane. And the phones would light up, and there'd be like a million callers wanting to put in their 2 cents worth on those things.
Coast to Coast AM is one of the most popular shows in the country, and it's all about paranormal.
As long as you totally suspend, any judgment of any kind, you can deal with that stuff. Yeah,
got to take out with aggro on paranormal.
It's like everyone calling in is insane. Once everything's fine
for that kind of show. Yeah,
it's great stuff.
Yeah,
but this has been a good show this morning, and I think we're going to do more of this. And I want to first of all I want to thank all of you, everybody in the room. Thanks for keeping it respectful. Thanks for keeping it sane.
Yes. A little bit lighthearted.
Seriously, I think we're setting an example of how these conversations should be conducted, with respect for each other as people and listening to each other's opinions rather than just, as our caller said, waiting so you can shoot your response back. I think there's a lot to be said for this, and I really appreciate all of you in the room for being my friends and for being intelligent, respectful, good people. And with all of that, ladies and gentlemen, it is 8 o'clock. That's it for this week. We'll see you next Monday.
Have a good one.
Buster will be right along. Bye-bye.
WSKB's programming is generously underwritten by Whip City Fiber.